अच्छा ये नहीं करना है। दूसरी बात क्या है वो टाइप करेगा अभी तो मैं भेजा क्विज तुम्हारा क्विज
kita Professor ஹலோ
சொல்லுங்க சார்.
ப்ரொஃபசர் ஆரம்பிக்கலாமா?
கேக்குதா?
கேக்குது.
ஓகே. நான் என்ன பாக்குறீங்களா நீங்க?
ஆமா பாத்துறேன். இந்த இருக்கீங்க. ஓகே.
சரி.
ஓகே. Good afternoon to everybody. Dear participants of this webinar on COVID-19 and social security measures for unorganized sector workers in India. Actually, this session will be handled by Professor P. Arunachalam, Professor of Applied Economics from Cochin University of Science and Technology, Kerala. This webinar is being organized on behalf of the Social Transformation Center of Madurai Kamaraj University, because Social Transformation Center has adopted 29 villages in and around Madurai Kamaraj University in order to make the people aware of their social concerns and hygienic and their green ways of life. So in this context, the Social Transformation Center, under the leadership of the present Registrar and Vice Chancellor, has planned to organize this webinar, because nowadays India is facing a very acute pandemic, COVID-19. Because of this COVID-19, we have lost many lives in India. All over the world, it exceeded lakhs and lakhs. It will reach crore in number also. Therefore, we have decided like this. When I approached Dr. Arunachalam, he suggested the right topic, that is social security measures for unorganized workers in India. So this is the background of the webinar on COVID-19. Now I hand over the session to Professor Arunachalam. Actually, Professor Geeta is waiting for proposing vote of thanks at the end of the session. We will have this webinar like this. First, Professor Arunachalam will present his views. Let him present his views fully. And after the presentation, if we have any doubts and queries or suggestions, we can very well put forward to Arunachalam sir through chatting, or I can allow some participants to speak. So this is the way we are going to organize this webinar. Now, the session is handed over to Professor Arunachalam. Professor Arunachalam sir. Professor. Professor.
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Now you can start. Over to Professor Arunachalam.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, friends. Professor Sadasivam, coordinator of this program, and Dr. Geeta, my dear faculty members, the Department of Social Transformation Center, and other Department of Economics, my dear friends and students and participants. At the outset, let me congratulate Professor Sadasivam for organizing such an important webinar on the current topic, and also the Social Center for Social Transformation Center for having given me this very good opportunity to share some views on this COVID-19 and this workers in the unorganized sector. I'm directly coming to the point. In one of the avatars of 10 avatars of Narayanan, One avatar is Narsimha Avataram. In that avatar, the main father figure that Iranian Kaspu used to ask his son Prahladan, show me where is your God. I mean, God means Narayanan. Where is your Narayanan? Since you are always telling that he is better than me. Then this boy used to reply, Father, he is there in all the non-living beings. He is there in all the living beings. He is there in the air. He is there in the water. Now also he is here. The boy used to tell. Then the Hiranyakashipu asked the boy, show me whether he is there in this pillar or not. Now, I'm not coming to that point, but here what I want to tell is that the boy wanted to convey his father, God is there everywhere, every nook and corner are omnipresent. Directly we can say that. And same is the case with unorganized workers at present. You just see that wherever you go, whether it's you can see unorganized sector, unorganized workers. Even nowadays, it's quite common to see even the formal sector. I mean, adopted the unorganized. I mean, nature of workers. Even the organized sectors. I used to appoint people on unorganized basis, on right daily wage basis, coolie wage basis, or contract basis, or guest basis. So many. I mean, the definitions are there for that. But what I want to say about this one is that unorganized workers are there everywhere. But now only we got the chance to discuss because I mean the COVID problem. So now directly coming to the point. I myself feel that I am speaking with the audience who have complete knowledge about the subject, the current issues, what is going on at present. Generally, I used to classify the presentations into this type of discussions into two parts. One side, in medias like press or YouTube, television channels, people, I mean, policy makers, government side, I mean, health workers, I mean, this type of, I mean, policy makers, governments and political representatives used to discuss about this, I mean, this COVID-19. And for the purpose of suggesting the government that what government has to do or what government has to for control the disease and avoid the spreading of the disease. And one more media is there. Generally, I used to say nowadays that media is very powerful nowadays. That media is, I mean, WhatsApp, Facebook, I mean, YouTube, and little, I mean, boys who are less than 40 years or 35 years, even at student level, so many channels are there. I mean, they have their own groups, their own channels. They used to discuss, they used to, I mean, put forward their ideas, views. And what I can see that this media is so powerful among the younger groups. And so, I know very well that I am speaking with the audience, whether at the policymakers level or faculty level or even student level. All groups are having complete knowledge about what is COVID, from where it originated, how it spread to European countries, how it spread to America, and how it landed in India, and what type of impact it created on Indian economy and various sectors of Indian economy. And everything they have knowledge, maximum knowledge. So what I'm going to share with you is that just additional points. I mean, you may be knowing about that one, but I am giving some more points regarding that. So it will help you to recollect. I mean, what you read yesterday, what you read day before yesterday, something like that. And also, how to mitigate this problem. And generally, we used to discuss about a particular issue when issues like tsunami comes, or earthquake comes, or volcano comes, or even avalanches comes, or drought occurs, flood occurs, landslides occurs. That time only, generally we used to discuss certain issues. And particularly in the case of COVID-19, we are discussing about all sectors. All sector in the sense that we are discussing about the organized sector, we are discussing about the unorganized sector, and the condition of the organized sector and the condition of the unorganized sector. So everything we are discussing. But one difference you have to keep in your mind that in the case of natural calamities, generally a lot of destruction used to take place with respect to infrastructure development, roads, bridges, buildings, and electrical connection, water connection. This type of natural, this type of infrastructural areas used to be affected by natural calamities. But as far as this COVID-19 is concerned, no such destruction took place. So in that respect, all governments in India as well as all over the world, governments are very much saved, spending very huge amount of money for that purpose. Yes, that's what most of the Western countries did after Second World War period to recover from the destruction made by Hitler and other forces. Now I am directly coming to the point. Now we have two sectors, organized and unorganized. First, let me explain very few. I'm not going to give a detailed definition explanation for organized sector. What is organized? Simple example I can with a simple example I can explain you what is organized, what is unorganized. For this only, I want to convey that nowadays even the organized sectors also become part of unorganized. That is why I want to explain this one. Simply nowadays it's quite common to say government universities. Government universities mean all universities in India. Recognized UGC recognized government universities, and out of them, some universities, aided universities are government universities. There, government is providing salary, government recruiting people, and there are terms and conditions while recruiting the people. They should have this much qualifications. They should have this many years of service. Then accordingly, the salary structure also fixed. The salary structure are fixed, and the retirement age also fixed up to 60 or 65 or 58, whatever may depends upon the respective governments. So here, once you are appointed at the age of 25 up to 60 years or 65 years, your job is permanent. If at all if something happened in between, then there are unions, associations, organizations, at a non-teaching level, teachers level, and university level, state level, center level, they will come forward and they will take your issue and they will protect you. And regarding what? Regarding your pension, regarding your PF, regarding your gratuity, regarding your if something happened in between. So all your career are taken care of by your associations, your organizations, and so many employees unions, whatever maybe. I don't want to come to the name that side. But nowadays it's quite common to see even under University Grant Commission, there are universities which are registered or even with maybe under UGC, they are generally used to call deemed universities or deemed to be universities, whatever may be. And here they have another type of appointments. Qualifications are same and years of experiences are same, but at the same time the salary structure is different. They are getting less than what an aided teacher is getting, professor is getting. They are getting at the same time as far as qualifications are concerned, they have equal qualifications. As far as benefits are concerned, low salary, no gratuity, no pension, no leaves with the salary benefit. Directly one can say that they are daily wage workers. Maybe they would have been appointed as a contract for 6 months, a contract for 3 months or 1 year, something like that. But no other claim. This is the nature of, this is generally nowadays, this the trend took place after 1991. The casualization of organized workers, and here this is with the government side. But generally before this, casualization of organized sector, generally what organized sector we mean that the street vendors, auto rickshaw drivers, taxi drivers, barber shop owners, even small petty shop owners, and spinning handloom weavers, those who are doing work at home, but producers. And these are all, some of the self-employed, organized, unorganized workers. And another important thing is that entire agriculture sector is coming under this unorganized only. Not only this one, now government of India is very much concerned about providing financial support to micro, small, medium scale industries by announcing 3 lakh crores, something like that. The entire sector is coming under this unorganized only because though they are organized or registered, but the workers who are working those SME units are, not coming into any of these, categories like permanent nature of job or pension, PF, gratuity, insurance benefit, sexual harassment act, or loan for constructing houses, loan for educating their children, and so many. This type of welfare measures are there. Though they are, they are getting government support, government finance, government loan, everything through proper banks and other, aided institutions. But while appointing, they are appointing people on a daily wage basis, or a piece rate system, or casual basis, or contract basis, or generally this wage rate system. Wage rate system is followed. And so what is the, for this only I want to tell you that unorganized workers are there everywhere, like omnipresent. They are there everywhere. And now another issue came that issue I will come later on about migrant workers. So they are there everywhere. And what about their strength? The Economic Survey 2018-19 has stated that the unorganized workers in India comes around 93% of India's total workforce. Then what about India's total workforce? Around 500 million. Out of this 500 million total workforce, 93% of workers are coming under this unorganized workers only, sector workers only. Okay, what about, other data is there. Other data about Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog 2018-19, they have published another data about how many percentage of people are working, coming under this unorganized sector. The Niti Aayog has stated that nearly 85% of the total workforce out of these 500 million people are unorganized, coming under unorganized. So government side as well as government side itself not having concrete data regarding whether it's 95% or 85%. So, but whatever it may be, the organized sector, workers come about 7% only in India. That much everything is correct. Then, though they are coming, the unorganized workers are coming about 93% of the total workforce. The unorganized sector contribute nearly 50% of India's GDP. That also, the data provided by the government of India. From this, you can easily understand that the 50% of GDP is coming from this sector. 93% of the workers are involved in this sector. Then, what about their welfare, their development? Development with respect to housing, their development with respect to their children's education, development with respect to so other insurance policies, accident benefit policies, so many things are there. And now the problem here only it comes. It is not about they're working in the unorganized sector and they're working as self-employed, self-employment sector is not the problem. But when the share of social security measures are concerned, already it has been, it is the government provided data only telling that only 5 to 6% of the population only availed most of the social security measures, social security measures. And one more data available that out of India's total unorganized workers, 93% total workforce, only 13% of the unorganized workers availed most of the social security measures. Most of the social security measures means with respect to insurance program, due to accident benefit program, due to injury program, due to disability program, due to gratuity, pension, Sexual Harassment Act, and Child Labor Protection Act, and this many acts are there. But how many people availed about this program? Only 13%. Only 13% of the total workforce only availed this program, And exactly we do not know. I mean, but the government data revealed that only 6 to 7%. But unofficially, there are studies revealed that it is about 13%. From this, you can understand the condition of these unorganized workers in general. Now, we have two things to proceed further. One is, from where these unorganized workers emerge, and then emerge, and how they are, I mean, migrating from one place to another place. The origin of these unorganized workers, generally, if you look into their, I mean, travel history, or why they are migrating from one place to another place, the origin of the unorganized workers is from agriculture only. As I told you, agriculture is already unorganized sector only. But they are the main, agriculture is the main source of, I mean, supplying of unorganized workers to the urban unorganized workers. In rural area, unorganized workers are there, but they are the main source. From agriculture only, these workers are coming to urban areas. How these workers are coming to urban areas? Simple example I can tell you. From 1951, if you look into, I mean, the GDP contribution of agriculture sector to India's GDP, around 60-65% of our GDP came from agriculture sector. But it's slow after, I mean, after independence, independence, throughout 12 5-year plans and after 73 years of independence, the contribution of agriculture sector is keep on reducing. At present only 15%. So agriculture sector was once a dominant sector. Around 65% of our GDP came from agriculture sector. But after independence, it started slowly decreasing and finally reached to the level of 15%. And at the same time, the service sector mainly, I mean, sectors function in urban areas. There's a contribution only 30% at the time of independence. Now started growing, slowly growing, and it now reached around 60 to 65%. And here you can understand that. Right? But when service sector started keep on increasing, the agriculture sector, I mean, the contribution keep on decreasing. At the same time, the workforce in the agriculture sector did not reduce as expected level as that of, I mean, the contribution of agriculture sector to GDP. Yes, in agriculture contribution keep on decreasing. At the same time, the workers engaged in the agriculture sector not decreasing. And nearly 50% of India's, rural population, nearly 1,000 million people are living in rural areas. If suppose that figure is correct, nearly out of India's total population, nearly 650 million population directly engaged with the agriculture sector only. So, okay, the 650 million people are engaged in agriculture sector. What is wrong in that? There only the problem comes. Because when agriculture sector contribution keep on decreasing and the people remain in the agriculture sector, there the problem comes. Because 650 million people have been sharing nearly, 15% of India's GDP. The 650 million people who encourage, stay with the agriculture sector is sharing nearly 15% of GDP. At the same time, in the case of service sector contribution keep on increasing up to 60 to 65%. But what about the people engaged in the agriculture sector? It is remaining more or less, same. So 30% of population, workforce sharing nearly 65% of GDP in India, and nearly 50% of India's total population sharing only 15% of GDP. Here comes the problem. And there only the problem related to poverty, the problem related to low purchasing power, the problem related to unemployment, no employment creation in agriculture sector. So all issues have been arise in the agriculture sector. So what is the result? Finally, in 2005, Government of India announced one special program known as Export Processing Zone Program. At that time, the 2006 January onwards, Government of India started implementing that program. It was a well-designed program, decided by Chinese government, and successfully they implemented the program. And China government introduced that program in 1979. After implementation of the Special Economic Zone program only, China started to attract more foreign direct investment and started producing more and started exporting more, then started getting more foreign exchange reserve. It is the story of, special economic zone program in China. In the year 2000, when Murali Moran was the Commerce Minister of India, he visited some of the zones. Nearly 6 zones are there in China. He visited these zones and he understood that such a closed economy like China, how it can attract this much foreign direct investment, how they can earn more this much foreign exchange reserve, how they can create this many employment opportunities, something like that. So he found something new about that program, and he wanted to introduce that program in India. In 2000, India's export-import policy, that scheme was introduced, incorporated. Then 2005-6 onwards, the government of India started introducing that program. Suddenly what happened, all over India, there are protests against that program. Yes, government as well as some private people, entrepreneurs, started acquiring this program for land acquisition program took place. Then farmers protested against that program because some of the people like our President Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, and Arna Rai, Arundhati Rai, and Chris Karnad, people like them and some NGOs. The people like them opposed to that program, and finally there were a lot of protests against that program. At that time, some of the National Sample Survey, as well as some of the institutions in Indira Gandhi Tata Institute of Social Science in Bombay, and some institutions, they conducted a thorough study on that. Whether farmers are ready to give the land to the government or not, ready to give the Hello? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So from that onward, time onwards, a large scale, educated, the less educated, semi-skilled, skilled, workers, boys from farmers' family started migrating to urban areas in search of employment, in search of livelihood, and keep on that level. Keep on, increased up to last month, December 2019. The result is that agriculture sector is not profitable for the farmers, in the sense that there is a profit gap of 35% between the cost of cultivation and the actual price. So this gap, always, not able to filled by the market price. So there's a gap of 35% between the cost of cultivation and the price of what they are getting. So farmers are not getting any price for what they're producing. Finally, what is the result? And they were not able to repay their money they borrowed from money lenders and so many, private agencies. Finally, when they were not in the position to repay all these things, nearly 1995 to 2014, nearly 2.75 lakh farmers have committed suicide in India. That is, the agriculture sector proved that it is not profitable for the farmers, and it is not able to attract the younger generations towards the agriculture sector. So these are the debt condition of the parents, farmers, and suicides forced the young educated people from unorganized agriculture sector to unorganized other sectors like real estate business, real estate and other unorganized sectors in the urban areas. And what is the result? The unorganized also, they are not having any social security benefits, like whatever I have stated that. And in the urban areas also, they're not having any other security measures. You cannot imagine that in 2023 itself, Government of India passed a Workmen's Compensation Act in 1923. Then in 1979, Government of India passed Interstate Migrants Workers Social Security Act. In 2008, Unorganized Workers Social Security Act also passed. Overall, if you look at, I have noticed a number of 1, 2, 3, 4. I have put the list of measures which are available passed by the government as well as central government. Is that central government alone, nearly 26 programs had been passed by the central government with respect to unorganized workers, about their wage level, about their injury benefits, accident benefits, gratuity, pension, and about their healthy stay, and regarding their transport issues. And so all these even accident, even future, whatever the security which are available for the organized workers, also available for unorganized workers. Like that, government passed so many acts and regulations.